we're going to need to start training some level 2 personnel. So level 2 personnel are the people that are, in addition to being able to, when we don't have current responses to give, you know, because obviously when we don't have any current conversations to maintain, we can focus on getting more leads. So that's, you know, a consistent responsibility with level 2s, is we're also doing the level 1 stuff. But what level 2s are going to do that's unique from level 1s is that we're going to actually have conversations now that we've started them. So in order to properly equip you for that process, we're going to have to discuss a few of the things that you're going to have to keep in mind as far as holding a conversation is concerned. And I'm going to start getting down into some specifics that are really important before we start talking about selling or closing behaviors. So this might be one of those things I'm going to have to break off into 2 trainings, but that's why I want to get an early start on it. So your advantage for being here right now is that you'll be able to interact with me, ask me some dynamic questions, look for examples. You know, everyone else who's going to get rolled out this information is probably going to have to passively watch it on the video. So if you can think of what some good questions are at different parts of the process, make sure to ask them, because someone who might be watching this video later on might have the same question. So, so definitely feel free to speak up. So let's start with some basic communication skills. When we're trying to build rapport, we have to basically use the same kind of language that our client does. Now, this is really crucial for several reasons. And before I go into the strategy, I'm going to have to talk about why it's important, because you have to understand the mechanism. Human beings have something called mirror neurons. This is a part of our brain that allows us to feel the emotions and physical experiences of other people. Most social animals have them, primates especially, because really any kind of an animal that goes and travels in a pack or a herd, they have to have an ingrained genetic sense of empathy in order to be able to function. This is why dogs get separation anxiety, because they haven't had that bred out of them. This is why people are able to watch sports events. This is why people are able to watch reaction videos on YouTube. And here's how the mechanism works. Researchers went and looked at bonobos. They're one of our closest relatives, this type of primate. And they put some electric sensors in their brains. And then what would happen is they would give one of the bonobos from that bonobo's social troop a piece of fruit. And another bonobo would watch them. And when they ate the fruit, the bonobo who was watching, because they were inside of that peer group, the same areas of their brain lit up as if they themselves were eating the fruit. So it's almost as if someone is in our peer group and they experience something and we're watching them, in a way, we're able to experience part of that experience ourselves. I'm going to give you an example, since a lot of people don't think about this as a real thing. I know the guys here will be able to relate. Have you ever been standing in a circle or a group of guys and someone comes up to one of them and kicks them between the legs? And then all of a sudden, everyone who's in that social circle kind of doubles over and bends over as if they
Yes,
just got kicked in between the legs.
yes, yes.
So that is the essence of what a mirror neuron response is. The idea that by having someone in your peer group experience something, that you yourself are able to experience vestiges of that same thing. Now, that works for physical sensations, it works for emotions, and sometimes it even works for cognitive processes. If we're able to observe like micro expressions or different changes that happen in a person's face so that we can intuit what mental process they're going through, we'll actually have part of that same process inside of ourselves. And that's why sometimes watching an in-person speaker can have a much bigger impact on us than getting that information secondhand. So the reason that this is so important is that as we start to get ourselves into the peer groups of other people, it starts to affect our circle of influence. Consider that once someone is inside of that peer group, so that those mirror neurons work, we are actually going to start experiencing their emotions and thinking along the same lines as them. And we're going to start even having physical sensations the same way that they are. So that's pretty powerful, speaking from a neurochemistry point of view, right? Everybody with me so far? Have I lost anyone?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so this becomes incredibly relevant when we are trying to give people advice. This becomes incredibly relevant when we are trying to get a person to act, because we have to make a person believe that we are like them, that we understand them, and that they can include us in their social group before they are able to be receptive to the things that we have to say. I'm going to give you an example. I think the United States is a good example. When September 11th happened, we had 6,000 people die, which seemed like a big number at the time. You know, we're losing 6,000 people a week right now with coronavirus, so don't get me started on that. But there was a huge outcry, a huge outpouring of support and empathy. And yet, at the same exact time, 90,000 people were dying in Africa from Boko Haram, and it never even made our headlines. Why do you think that is?
Lack of relatability.
Right? That stuff was happening to someone outside of their peer group. It wasn't
Or
happening to anyone that they knew. There was no
Yeah.
way to create social reciprocity there. The people that it was happening to had a different skin color, ethnicity, social and moral paradigm. So we literally ignored the deaths of 84,000 people in excess of our own loss. And yet we're so affected by the deaths of 6,000 people that it literally changed the narrative of the entire culture for the next year. So tell me, how important are mirror neurons?
extremely.
Everyone, yeah, everyone picking up on this idea so far?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So the goal of a sales conversation is to do a couple of things, right? The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask an open-ended conversation question, a starter, that's going to get the prospect to express themselves. And this is important. It's usually a non-business related question, but for business people, sometimes business itself is a non-business related question as long as they're not trying to be sold something. You know, on LinkedIn, for example, the only thing that you guys have in common is that you're both in business. So that's what the conversation is going to start over. But let's say you're working somewhere else and someone walks in, you might ask them, you know, what their last vacation was like, or what they're doing with their weekend, or if they caught that, you know, football game. The idea here is that you're giving that person an opportunity to express themselves. And if you're smart, you do it by observing something about them that seems to be an important topic to them and giving them a chance to talk about it. Now, there's a bunch of things I could teach you about body language and all of that, but we're not going to dial into that right now because that's not our focus, because we're not integrating with people that we're interacting with visually yet. So for that reason, I'm going to place some focus on communication style, but I want you to know that I do have a lot more to teach in that respect, but we're going to focus on this part for now. So when it comes to a person's narrative style, when you're dealing with text, you're going to see some basic things, right? One of them is, how do they send messages? Are they sending messages in short blocks, in single sentences? Do they start a message like a letter and put the person's name at the top and then sign the bottom? Do they create separations for their ideas? Do they use spacing? What's their word choice like? Do they focus on things like capitalizing their letters or punctuating their sentences? Do they communicate in short bursts? Um, all of these styles of communication are endemic to the person. Each personality type has its own way of expressing itself. And what you want to note when they start to answer that first conversation starter question is you want to note how they express themselves when they answer the question. All right. Are they using short statements? Are they using facts? You know, some people are into facts and figures. We call these fact focused people. All right. Some people are focused on emotions. These are emotionally focused people. So let me show you what
I
that
must
looks
tell you,
like.
30
All right.
years ago,
So,
I was working in a factory
oh, someone
producing
who's
automobiles.
watching
And
Manuj's
automobile
video has
success
the volume up too
seemed
loud.
impossible.
So I'm going to give you an example. Sanjana, you're in here, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So can you tell me about the last time that you went on vacation?
Yes, the last time I went on vacation was last year in December. The weather was nice, and we went to the southern part of India to a place called Puducherry, and we saw lots of great monuments and ate at a famous cafe, and it was great.
So did you guys notice that she had a fact-based method of communication? She told
Mm,
you when,
Yes.
she told you
yeah.
where, she
Mm,
told you what was on the itinerary, she told you what was important about the places that she visited.
mm,
Now, I could ask that same question to someone else, and they could say, oh, it was amazing. We went to Sri Lanka. I'd never been there before. I didn't know that it was so beautiful. I love the differences in the architecture. It gave me this feeling of being in an ancient city. We went on this incredible crawl through some of the old urban streets. And I met this amazing vendor who had a monkey, and his name was George. You know, people who are emotional and are emotionally focused communicators, to transmit their ideas, they focus on emotion. So when you are talking with a communicator, you need to be able to relate to how they are communicating. And this is what allows you to mimic that style of communication. So in speaking, we talk about people being fast paced or more deliberate paced. We don't say slow paced because that can imply people are dumb, and that's not the case. You know, you might talk to a Texas oil mogul, and he might talk like this and take forever to tell a story, but that doesn't mean that he's an idiot. He could be the smartest person in the room. That's the way that he's learned to communicate. With typed communication, it's the same. You know, people have a certain way that they have learned to send instant messages. Sometimes people communicate a certain way when they're on their phones, and they also communicate a different way when they're on their computer. And it's important that you mimic their communication style, and that you mimic whether or not they use fact-based or emotion-based language. And the only way that you're going to be able to get this information is to ask them a question about something that they feel confident about. And that confidence is going to create the bridge between you and them so that they feel safe to express those ideas. Is everybody following me so far?
yeah.
Okay. Does
Yeah.
anyone
Yes.
have any questions before I move on? Okay, just making sure.
Mm, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
at this point, we've given them the opportunity to speak about whatever topic it is that is important to them, because we've identified something in their profile that's given them a channel to speak about that. Do you see why I gave you that list of conversation starters, why it's so important?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important to open up a narrative with someone by giving them a personal place of power to talk from, because they're talking to a new person. And when you're talking to a new person, the most comfortable thing for you to talk about is yourself. This is why when you're on a first date, the most important thing is to ask the person the right questions that allow them to communicate. So once we've done this, they're going to send us a response. Are you still there, Manoush?
Yes.
Would you be kind enough to share your screen and pull up the conversation with Anne?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
I'm going to give you an example of this in action, okay?
mm,
All right, so here's Anne Tracy, and we sent her a message with a conversation starter, right? And
mm,
at this point, you know, Manoush was kind of riffing off of what I had done and used that to create his own conversation starter. Now we're going to scroll down, and we're going to see that she is texting from her phone. Okay, how do we know that? People don't put their name at the end of a conversation like that unless they are using a phone and they are not accustomed, especially if they're older, to being able to separate the bottom line of the conversation. So people who are in a little bit of an older category or less familiar with technology, they're used to writing business letters and signing them, but they don't know how to do the formatting and the spacing. Is everyone following me?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
tell from reading this message
Mm.
that her normal form of communication is emails. And she's used to writing professional business emails, which makes sense because she is the chief sustainability officer for Colgate and Palmolive, right? So she probably sends 100 emails a day. So that's probably her most comfortable avenue for communication. So let's take a look at her language. My biggest challenge right now is how to cut through the complexity of communicating our future sustainability strategy in a clear and memorable way to multiple stakeholders. Would like to hear your perspective on how others are doing it. Is this an emotional person or is this a fact-based person? Is she talking about how things feel, what the
Fact-based.
experience is like? She's not, right? She's focusing on the who,
It's
the
fact
what,
based.
the why, the how. It's all fact-based. Just like when Sanjana was talking about her vacation, right?
Mm.
This is a
Yeah.
fact-based person. So what's her challenge? Her challenge right now is communicating emotions. If she's naturally a fact-based person, what's going to be her biggest challenge? Communicating with emotional people, right? That's going to be a big challenge for someone who's used to spitting out facts. So she's literally talking about the challenges that she's having in her job as a result of having a different communication style from the people that she's trying to reach. So Manoj, you want to scroll down and show my response here?
Mm.
Okay. So what I did is I used a business letter format. Why? What's her most common way of communicating? Email, right?
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
made
Yes.
this look
Yeah.
like an email, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk to her using fact-based language, and I'm going to show her that I know the secret of being able to link a fact-based personality with an emotional-based people, an emotional-based audience, right? And the secret is about focusing on the emotional impact. Numbers and projections are great for data scientists and those involved in the field, but what hits home with all consumers is what really matters to them, the relationships and real world impact. So what does this look like? It means taking those figures and converting them into trees saved and converting that number into the equivalent number of parks, playgrounds, and public spaces. It means putting less waste into the air and water, their child having the chance to see what a sea lion looks like without having to visit it behind a plexiglass wall at a zoo in 30 years. It's about the legacy. If you're interested in how to emotionally connect the abstract to the people you serve, it means speaking their language. This is actually one of many of the principles we focus on in the private strategy sessions I offer. If you're interested in knowing more, it'd be a pleasure anyway to get a chance to talk to you about how your industry is evolving. We should book a call. I can hear about all the challenges your industry is facing and how you're making a difference. Once I hear that message, I'm sure with a little brainstorming with my team, let's see, and we could give you even more solutions and even tell you more about how to bring that message to the forefront of the brand or even assist with the implementation. Either way, a video chat would be a great way to hear about the message you're trying to send. Have any open spots on your calendar? Cheers, Manoj. So because I understand these principles, I wrote that in 80 seconds after Manoj sent me the message. Okay, this is the power of understanding how to communicate. And the second that
Yeah.
we sent it, about 40 seconds later, after she had a chance to read the message, she immediately booked the call. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the power of this technique. Now, not every conversation is going to be one message back and then me booking a call. But she exposed the jugular here. She said, here's my challenge. Here's exactly how to communicate with me. And this is why I'm having this problem. She's a fact-based communicator. She wants to see whether or not this interaction that she's having with Manoj is going to benefit her or not. All right. So I answered that immediately with directly going for a close. A different person that we talk to, we might have to send 10 messages back and forth and slowly meander around to the idea of talking about whether or not we want to book a call and find that value. It depends on the person that you're talking to. But using this method, I literally got a message from Manoj. I typed out the response. I sent it to him. He put it into the box and sent it. And literally, like 2 minutes later, we had a booked call with a chief sustainability officer for a billion-dollar corporation.
This is not, no. This is not $1 billion. This is multiple $100 billion.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You know, billions. We're in the billions here. We're talking about Colgate Palmolive. All right.
Colgate-Palmolive is top. I think top 50 easily.
Yeah,
Top 50
exactly.
in the companies in the world.
So if I can use this technique to close a person who works for a multi-billion-dollar corporation in a single message, you can use it to hold a conversation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the goal here is to, at level 2, is not to go right for the close. Okay. So if we saw that message as level 2 people, we would say, oh man, that's a hot lead. Okay, because she just literally talked about what she needs out of this interaction, and it could go right to a booking. So that would be when we would escalate to level 3. I just want to show you the importance of these communication techniques and why they're important. Is everyone on the same page with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is what it looks like. Now, when it gets down to level 2, your responsibility is to be able to hold a conversation with that person based on their communication style and be able to drive that conversation, whether it's slowly or quickly, toward the ultimate goal of getting them to book an appointment and making sure that they are actually qualified for that appointment, just by seeing whether or not, you know, the conversation is going in the right direction. And once it looks like a warm lead, that's what the level 3 team is for. You know, if you see an opportunity or something like that, if you want to partner with a level 3 person and have them show you how to close it, that's exactly what it looks like. But this is, you know, basically what Manoj did is he started a level 1 conversation. He immediately saw that he saw buying signals, and then he contacted the level 3 person, which is me, to close the sale. Do you see how that worked?
Yeah.
Okay, this is called a turnover, and we have a system in place on the CRM to do that turnover, which is that slider. We can move that slider and say, hey, this person is a hot lead. This person needs to be escalated. You know, this person needs to go to, you know, whichever team. And he's going to show you how to do that right now. So let's say we got him, you know, let's say we're having a conversation. We can move him right there to warm, say that we need to, you know, follow up in an hour or whatever, and move him over to the closers. So, and then you can hit that reassign button, and then at that point, that lead is going to go to the right people so that the right person can close it. Does everybody understand this process, or do you want me to explain it again?
Understand the process.
Okay, all right.
I get it. Yeah.
Remember, we're going to have access to this video for training, so you'll be able to follow along with the steps again. But that is the general methodology of being able to reassign. So I want everyone to just remember what the level 2 responsibility is. We're trying to be receptive to a conversation. So we haven't done any prep for this. So if Manoj, if you'd be kind enough to just go ahead and open up one of our existing messages that is pending with a response, and we'll see if we can find one that's worth answering. Something that's unread.
Well, let's look at, I mean, this is a class A, like this guy, okay, this one will be a tough one, but do you want to use it for demonstration?
Sure, sure. Remember that the primary goal of this particular video is to teach people how to do level 2.
Okay, so this is level 3, I think.
Yeah, we're trying to show them how to hold a conversation with someone that we've just contacted. They've decided to respond.
Okay,
there we go. Okay, so this is someone who contacted us. So let's take a look at his conversation style. Does he format his text?
No.
No, it's just a big block.
Okay, it's just a big block.
Paragraph.
I want everyone to take a look at the language. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and I found your background to be quite impressive. I find that good people know good people, and I am in the process of opening a few additional offices and I need to fill some key positions. Do you know of anyone that has high integrity, great people skills, and a strong work ethic? I will train the right person regardless of applicable skills if they possess the right personality traits I listed. We will have part-time positions available that pay a few $1,000s a month for about 10 hours a week or so, or a select full few-time opportunities with the same flexible schedule, but that are typically a six-figure opportunity. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. So, communication style, is this guy emotions or facts?
More of emotions.
He has a few
Emotions.
And
few
facts.
emotional things in there, right? But what is the great bit of the body of this message? Where he's going down basically a list of things that he wants in a prospective employee, right? Is he
Right.
saying, I'm so
Yeah.
overwhelmed and stressed out, I don't know the first thing about sales. This entire experience of being an entrepreneur has been very frustrating. I'm having difficulty breaking into the market and it's starting to disappoint me. Is he an emotionally focused person? Is he saying anything like that?
No.
No, right?
No.
No.
So we've got a fact-based person who communicates in a big block. And what's his problem? His problem is that he needs people who understand emotions to be able to close sales. Why is he having this frustration? Because he's a fact-based person and he doesn't know how to emotionally connect to his prospects, right? Kind of like the same problem that Anne had. It's just a different version of it. Does everyone see that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's scroll down to his next message down there. I am training new financial coaches. We help families become debt-free, financially independent, and properly insured by doing free financial plans. 100% remote work from home, full training provided by me. What's a good number email for you? We are fact-based. We're communicating in a tiny block. We are not formatting this as an email. This is how this guy communicates. So does everyone understand how we would match this communication style?
Yes.
Is everybody on board with that? If you don't understand, I need you to stop me because I'm going to keep on building on these principles. If you do not speak up, it is going to be to your detriment. Is there anyone who doesn't understand how to identify his communication style so that we can match it? Okay, moving on.
Okay, let's do another one. This one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yeah,
want to
sure. Let's do it. Okay, we did our beginning here, right? We've got, holy cow, 5 degrees, beyond impressive. You know, we're giving a chance to talk about herself, right? So now we go down. Let's look at her response. I'm full of challenges these days, or problems. Don't get me started. How are you, Elizabeth? Do we have an emotional problem or do we have a fact-based problem? Was she specific or did she talk about how she's feeling?
No.
Her feelings. No.
It's all feelings, right?
Feelings and emotions. Yeah.
So this is a feeling person. How is she communicating? She's communicating in a couple of sentences and she's got emoticons in there, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a look at what Manoj did. Uh-oh, pandemic's affecting a lot of people. If you're at the liberty to share more, I might be able to help. Solving problems is what I do. Happy face. Did we match her communication style? We did, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
So what could we have maybe done better or differently to respond? Could we have maybe used some more emotions instead of some fact-based languages? You know, the pandemic is frustrating a lot of people. You know, if you feel safe to share more, I might be able to help you feel better about having a direction. Solving problems is what I do. Maybe that would have been more of a match, right?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right.
All right,
Yes.
so let's scroll down. Let's look at more. All right. LOL, if you want to hear, I'm struggling with this job I took in sales. Again, more emotions, right?
Yeah.
It's a new topic that I don't know about and I can't travel or meet customers in person, so it's all networking from behind a computer. Not impossible, but so hard to build relationships. She's an emotional person. What's her problem?
Building relationships.
Right, because she's used to using emotions to bond with people and
Yes.
she doesn't know how to use facts to bond with people. She is the opposite problem of Anne, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah, she's not able to get emotional cues across a screen that she's used to, something like that.
Perfect. So if we look at Manusha's response, this is perfect. Well, as luck will have it, that's what I specialize in. I can jump on a call and show you a few things. I think you will like it very much. Did we give her a 5-point sales plan? Did we overwhelm her with details? No.
No.
We just connected to her emotions. We communicated in the same style that she did. And what was her response? Let's do it. Right?
Yes.
So do you see
Yeah.
how matching this communication style allowed us to get a complete stranger to get on a video call with us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Is this making sense for everyone?
Yeah, slowly it is. It is.
Okay.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Do you guys want to do one more example?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Sure.
Okay, let's do
Yeah.
one more
Yeah.
example. All right. All right. Looking forward to connect. Okay, I had done BTEC from IIT-BHU. I'm a head of digital banking, wealth management from Infosys Financial, Bangalore for 1995. I help banks in their digital transformation journey and create learning or find. I live at 300 banks, 100 countries. I'm an international Toastmaster looking forward to connect. What is our communication style?
Fast-paced.
Right? We're fast-paced and we're fact-based. We've
Yeah.
basically, we could take that and we could create a little chart with all of the facts that he gave us, right?
Yeah.
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 So let's scroll down and see where the conversation goes. Would you like to tell me about the projects you're currently working on? I watched Emphasis with quite a bit of interest. Looking forward to learning more about what you do. All right. So now we've given him an opportunity to talk
To
about
express himself.
his facts, right? I had created many software products. As of now, I'm head of wealth management. Apart from this, I'm building one product in digital banking space. What did he do on vacation? He went here, he did this, he went there. The weather was nice, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
how are we going to respond if we want to be able to connect with him and move the conversation along to see if maybe we might be able to warm him up as a client?
We will have to either allow him to give us more facts or give some facts ourselves.
Absolutely. So here's what
Yes.
we're going to do. We're going to say, actually, I'm going to type it here into, see, I'm going to hit you with it in the Zoom chat, Manoj, and then you can just throw it in there. So let me just do this real quick. Okay, so I sent a Zoom chat there. Manoj is going to put it on here for the benefit of everyone on the video. Okay, I am very interested in the evolution of the digital banking industry. The few times I've been exposed to it in the last 6 months have made me introspect a lot on what the effect of the pandemic is going to have on the financial markets. And whether or not that is going to make everyone move to digital systems. Have you had any challenges or transitions recently as a result of all the changes? So I have connected with him using his same language. We're staying on a topic that he knows about. So the conversation is naturally progressing, right? I'm not just all of a sudden talking about virtual selling or doing in a completely different direction. We're staying on topic, right? But I've asked him if he has any challenges going on right now, because what do? We solve problems. If a person doesn't have any problems, then 100% they're probably not going to be moving onto a call with us anytime soon unless we have another compelling reason. So that is always the way after we get someone to open up to see whether or not they're qualified for our service and still keep them on the topic of whatever they were talking about. So he's going to send that. So now we've basically gone through everything that we need to do to be able to connect to that client and be able to hold the conversation. That is the duty of a person on level 2. to be able to control the conversation, use their same communicating style, and slowly move that conversation toward the idea of seeing whether or not they are qualified to move up to level 3 and be closed and move on to an appointment. Does everybody understand what level 2 people do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So today we talked about the process of mirror neurons and why they are so important to being able to persuade. We talked about being able to identify a communication style and how we're able to match that. We talked about the different kinds of communication styles that you'll be able to see just from text-based communication. And we talked about what it looks like to be able to match those different styles. Does anyone have any questions about any of that?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, so what I would like to challenge you to do is I want you to message a friend and I want you to observe, ask them a question, and I want you to observe their communication style. If you don't have someone to do this with, you can pick someone else who's on the team on WhatsApp. And you're going to ask them a question, something that they, tell them to tell you a little bit about themselves. Pick something from that, and then I want you to see if you can match their communication style and see if, as a result of that conversation, you can get them to talk to you about what their current challenges are. That's my homework to you. And you're going to have to do that with each other because we're certainly not going to be practicing that on clients until you're good at it. Can I get everyone's commitment to have, I don't know, 3 of these conversations in the next 24 hours? These are not difficult conversations to have. You can even have them with each other.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Sure. Yeah.
At least one of the people that you talk to needs to have a different communication style than you. So if for some reason we identify, as you guys are messaging back and forth, that someone is an emotional communicator and everyone has had a fact-based communicator so far, share with one another so they know who to talk to so that they can get some experience with that different communication style. Can I get everyone's buy-in to do this? Do you see why it's important?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try and make these little learning sessions a little shorter and more digestible since we're going to be rolling them out to the team, and I need to give you guys time to practice. But the ultimate goal here is to create more people on level 2 so that we have the ability to train level 1 people who are able to move to this level. Now, obviously, the ability to construct sentences that are sensical and culturally appropriate to the people that you are talking to is incredibly important to this process. So if for some reason you have not yet installed Grammarly, make sure that you do, because you're going to need to be able to make good sense with your messages, or you are going to break the emotional connection with clients when you are trying to communicate with them. Can I get everyone's commitment, if you don't already have it installed, to get it installed so that you can start looking over your language and make sure that you are communicating effectively? I want you to practice using it when you are doing your practice messages with one another. Can I get everyone's commitment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and terminate the call. And then you guys immediately break into some conversations. It can be with someone else on the team elsewhere. They don't have to necessarily be on the sales team. It could be a friend. It could be someone that you haven't talked to in a while and you want to talk to. The idea here is you're going to identify their pace and focus. Are they using a certain style to communicate? You're going to match that style. You're going to identify the language from the question that you ask them, and then you're going to match it. And you're going to see over the course of that conversation if you can get them to talk to you about the things that are bothering them right now and what their challenges are. Does everyone understand the assignment?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, go kill it. And then when
Yeah.
you are done, I want you to report back on your 3 conversations, your experiences in the sales group. And I want you to share with everyone what that was like for you and if there were any challenges so that we can help one another. Have everyone's buy-in? We good?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.